In the previous video, we learned that toddlers initially talk about events without using verbs. And we suggested that toddlers do so because they are unsure of precise verb meanings. Action verbs have different levels of specificity. For example, we can make a sandcastle, a picture, or a cake. But the general verb of creation, make, can be replaced by more specific verbs. Build a castle, draw a picture, and bake a cake. In other words, building, drawing, and baking are all forms of making something. Research has shed light on the way toddlers learn how specific a verb is. Language scientist Mabel Rice and her colleagues observed that preschool children developing language typically and atypically often depend on General All-Purpose Verbs, gap verbs for short. The most ubiquitous gap verb in the English language is the verb do. It essentially means perform an action. Here is a 16-month-old talking about a fun activity in the garden using the gap verb do.
What are we doing?
Raspberry.
Raspberries.
Do raspberry.
Do raspberries. We are looking for raspberries.
And here's a 22-month-old requesting her mother's help in getting down off of a chair.
Down.
You want to get down? Honey,
Yes.
I really think you can get down yourself.
Mommy, do it.
Here, hold on, Sam.
Gap verbs have a specific purpose in language. No language can ever have a unique verb corresponding to every possible action in the world. So languages employ gap verbs to compensate. Commonplace examples are make a sound and do homework. The gap verbs make and do add little meaning in these phrases. Most of the meaning is carried by the nouns that follow, sound and homework. Gap verbs highlight a deep principle of language that contributes to making verbs hard words to learn. Verbs are words in a larger phrase known as the verb phrase. Toddlers must learn where the meaning of the verb ends and the meanings of the other words in the verb phrase take over. Consider for a moment the difference between eating pizza and eating ice cream. The difference is not associated with the verb eat, but with the nouns pizza and ice cream. Gap verbs enable toddlers to talk about events even when their verb vocabularies are very limited. And gap verbs help teach toddlers that we talk about actions with verb phrases, not just single verbs. In the next video of this series, we will explore how toddlers learn verbs that describe how objects move and change, here on this YouTube channel.